Hello and welcome to the garden. Well, I'm in the polytunnel here and I'm taking a look at our sweet corn. So we've already been enjoying a few cobs from these plants and very nice they are too. What I thought I'd do today is just share a quick tip on how to test your sweet corn for ripeness. So the first thing to look for is the state of the silk. So this is an immature cob, we know that from the size anyway, but when the silks are looking fresh and green like these, we know it's not worth checking the cob. The first sign we're looking for are the silks turning brown like this, and at that stage you can have a feel of the cob and get an idea as to whether it is properly packed out or not. And if it does feel like it is, then you can peel back some of the husk here, and yeah, I mean, you can see that's nicely filled with juicy plump kernels, and I'm sure this one is ripe. But the trick here to test this is to take a kernel a couple of inches from the top and to stick your nail in. As soon as you stick your nail into that kernel, some juice should come out. Now, if that liquid is very clear, then it's not quite ready and it needs a few more days. So wrap it back up and leave it alone. But if that juice comes out a bit milky but still translucent, then the cob is absolutely perfect. If there's very little liquid or it's starchy or thick, it's gone too far. So with that one simple trick, we can very easily test this corn and see what it's like. I'm quite confident that this one is ripe, but here we go. And there's the liquid. It's translucent but a little bit milky. It's certainly not perfectly clear, and that is absolutely perfect. That's what you want to see. A thin but slightly milky juice from that kernel, and this is perfectly ripe corn. Nice plump kernels, and once I've cleaned it up, that's going to be a really great cob. Getting some really quite long cobs off of these. This is Swift. It's not one I've grown before. It is a hybrid corn, and I tend to grow open pollinated varieties in this garden, but I very often do one hybrid variety of corn because it does have some advantages. This is going to be great. So I'm looking for one here that is likely to be underripe, and you can see that these silks are still quite green. They're starting to brown, so it won't be long. But if I peel this back, and this is not really something you want to do until you're really ready to test the corn, till you think this is probably ripe, because obviously these husks provide some protection for the corn. Well, this is one of the lower cobs, and you can see that the pollination hasn't been very good. I think this developed long after most of the pollen had already been shed, so I'm not expecting much from this, and indeed we haven't got much. There's a cob higher up here which is very well filled. I'll show you that one in a minute. But if I do the same trick here, you can see that okay, it's not far away, but that liquid is actually quite clear. If I just do that on another kernel, yeah, it's quite a clear liquid, that. So I'll just remove those because they're not good after you stuck your nail in it. This one needs to be covered up and put away. You can see we've got a cob here that, well, this is starting to brown now, and this is one that was where the silks were out while there was still plenty of pollen about, and yeah, you can see that is properly packed out, and that's how it should be. But of course it all depends when the male flowers start dropping their pollen, and often they start doing it before there's any sign of the silks, and And it can be that when the later cobs arise, if you're getting sort of 2 or 3 on each plant, that they don't get fully pollinated. But these early ones, of course, came out at exactly the right time, and that's why these cobs are full and lovely. I'm going to wrap that one back up. It's probably ready, but maybe I think it needs another couple of days to reach that perfect point. There's no point me testing that because I don't want to take this cob today, so I'll just cover that back up and I will test that maybe tomorrow or the day after. Now, it's not a perfect test, that, because you've still got to make a judgment call as to when that liquid looks right, but it's much better than simply doing a visual inspection, because there would be very little difference on a visual inspection between the cob I've just uncovered and that first one which was definitely ripe. So there's a little bit of experience needed in judging the quality of that liquid, whether it is sufficiently milky or not. But when it comes out largely clear, it's underripe. When it comes out still translucent but milky, definitely milky, then it is ready to go. And that's how I test these cobs, to make sure that they are perfect to eat, because even with a hybrid, which tends to be very uniform, those cobs will ripen in a sequence. Obviously the first one to come out on the plant is going to come first, but even across plants they will ripen at slightly different times, and this way I can make sure that I'm picking them at exactly the right moment for maximum enjoyment. And that's all I wanted to cover on this video. Thanks ever so much for watching, and bye for now.